Hello, my name's Daniel Murnane. I work at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in Berkeley, California, where I am a postdoctoral researcher in working with the Exatrex collaboration. So I can break down my job title a little bit. So I'm a postdoctoral researcher. Postdoctoral means that I've recently completed my PhD, in my case at the end of last year. I work for the Exatrex project. So Exa is the next frontier in computing. So we have megabytes, giga, tera, peta, Exa. And it's the Exatrex project. So Trex is tracking, where we use AI for particle physics experiments to track particles through the layers of a collider. I got started in STEM when I was about 5. I played with Lego a lot. And then I got a set of Lego Mindstorm in 1998 or 1999 when I was about 8, where you could build an R2-D2 and control him with a computer. It had this control module inside which you could link up to your computer and get him to avoid obstacles or make noises. And it was really, really cool. I think they've updated the Lego Mindstorm system since then. I think it's now called Lego Boost, and they just released the R2-D2 in Lego Boost last year. I just found that out, so I might ask for one for Christmas. After I got hooked on science and technology, I'd read a lot about space and history, dinosaurs and ancient Egypt and Rome and all sorts of things. And I went through a real magic phase where I read a lot about crystals, and I bought crystals, and I had a telescope so that I could look at star signs. I've since got over that phase, outgrown it, but as it happens, scientists have recently become obsessed with crystals, so maybe the Wiccans knew something. To be honest, I didn't really do anything about my passion for science. The things I did were musicals and playing tennis and going to the movies. Most of my love of maths and science was kind of hidden in my bedroom, in books and computers. I didn't do Olympiads, or join robotics groups, which I think is okay. I was quite insecure about my skills or capability with maths and science. But if you love something, then you can slowly turn that love into a career, and no one will ever know that it was a secret love in the first place. I'm inspired by how my work has such a clear problem. And that problem is, how can you figure out exactly which particles are released in a collision of a particle detector? If you don't know what's happening in the middle of a particle detector, then there's no point doing the experiment. And if you don't do the experiment, then you can't find dark matter, you can't find or prove string theory, you can't discover extra dimensions or any of the other fun things that theoretical physicists play around with. So for example, I did my PhD in Higgs bosons in extra dimensions, which is fascinating. But for this current job, I love that there's a clear problem to be solved, and we can try to do it with artificial intelligence, where every day, there are new advances in machine learning. So there's always new ways to try and get even more precise performance. And even if we engineer a machine learning model that doesn't work at all for particle physics, it might turn out that it can work for a self-driving car to detect pedestrians, or to help an AI personal assistant to recognize your voice. So the cool thing about this kind of work is that you can move from one field to another. Once you know coding and machine learning, then you can apply it to many problems. And if you already have an understanding of physics or chemistry or biology or any other kind of science or engineering, then you're able to move from one to the other and learn it quickly, because we're all using the same language and we're all using the scientific method. The next big step at Lawrence Berkeley Lab is a new supercomputer called Perlmutter later this year, which will be used to study nuclear fusion, climate change, and we'll be using it to run our most complex AI models on particle physics. So we'll need these models for when the Large Hadron Collider is upgraded in the next couple of years to the high luminosity Large Hadron Collider. And there's just going to be so much data from the high luminosity LHC. So for this experiment, computers around the world will need to be able to run over an exabyte of analysis. That's 1 million laptops all running at the same time and synced up. The reasons to study STEM topics, I hope obvious. I mean, if you're interested in the world, if you're interested in anything really, then I think you need to be able to work with the skills that STEM gives you. Now, I don't mean that you shouldn't go out and read literature or play sport or practice your piano, but many of those things can be improved or viewed through the lens of STEM topics, science and maths. I mean, you could be a sports scientist and simulate the best way to play football, or you could code up a virtual reality software where you can play a grand piano whenever you want. The skills that you need for a STEM career, I think you can apply to everything. So I've learned a lot about AI and coding through my physics research, which I can use to make a website, or I can use to automate parts of the recording of my music. Studying STEM is really a way of thinking critically about the world and reasoning through problems step by step. So for example, when I moved here to the States, I wasn't worried about your horribly complicated tax system because I knew I just had to look up the instructions and work through them one at a time. STEM skills are life skills, I think. They're not the only skills you need, but you do need STEM skills, especially now in the 21st century when everyone expects you to be sort of a Swiss Army knife of a person. In my free time, I try to read a lot still, but of course now that my day-to-day, my 9 to 5 is computing and maths, I try to read a bit more widely than I did when I was a kid. I'll go on bike rides around the Bay Area. I will write musicals with my band, who are back in Australia, over Skype. So thanks for listening to a little bit about me and my STEM life. If you've got any questions, I'd love to answer them about particle physics, about AI, coding, music. Contact me at, you can go to my website, danielmurnane.com, or you can tweet at Berkeley Lab's Twitter handle, @BerkeleyLab. Thanks.